The blockade of the Suez Canal occurred on March 23, 2021 at approximately 5:40 Coordinated Universal Time when the Panamanian container ship Ever Given ran aground, causing the obstaculization of the point of bottleneck Drua, which more than 10% of the world's maritime trade traffic flows. The supercarrier belongs to the Japanese company Shoei Kisen and is managed by the Evergreen Marine Corporation of Taiwan. The Ever Given is registered in Panama and its technical management is the responsibility of the German ship management company Berham Schulte Ship Management. The Panamanian freighter, which is one of the largest supercontainers in the world, with 400 meters of length, 59 meters of beam, and 15.7 meters of draft, entered the Suez Canal from the Red Sea en route to the Mediterranean Sea. The Suez Canal Authority imposes a Suez crew on all passing ships, including one or more pilots who are Egyptian employed by the Suez Canal Authority. The Ever Given was controlled by the two Egyptian pilots during the accident. It is investigated if it was hit by an intense gust of wind or if bad maneuvers were performed. Ultimately, the ship ended up off course to starboard. At the time of the incident, the Ever Given was traveling from Tanjung Pelepas, Malaysia, to Rotterdam, the Netherlands. It was the fifth in a northbound convoy, with 15 ships behind when it ran aground. After making landfall with the Pole boat, the ship turned and took an oblique orientation to the direction of the channel, blocking it completely. On March 25, the Suez Canal Authority announced the suspension of navigation until the ship was able to refloat. 4 days later, on March 29, the same institution confirmed that the container ship had been partially refloated, but that the canal would remain closed pending the unlocking of the boat, which remained stranded in the sand. The incident damaged more than 200 vessels on both sides of the canal, including 5 other container ships of similar size. These include 41 bulk carriers and 24 tankers. Some docked at ports and anchorage in the area, while many remained in place. Ships in the area range from small freighters to large ships, including the Russian Navy's Altai-class supply ship Kola, which had been involved in a mirror collision with the Ark Royal bulk carrier earlier that day. The suspension of navigation caused a significant accumulation of ships in both entrances, waiting for the passage to be released. Several of them, including the Ever Given's twin freighter, the Ever Great, took a detour south, circling the Cape of Good Hope, the Cape route, which was the only route before the canal existed. On March 29, after days of worry moving sand to free the hull and trying to tow it, the Ever Given was released and traffic on the Suez Canal was normalized in the stages. The refloat. Officials plan to move two vessels behind the Ever Given to make room for the refueling operation. Fuel, ballast water, and several containers were removed from the ship to help lighten its wheel-heavy machinery work to excavate the bow. From of the cargo ship, Peter Bertowski, CEO of Royal Boscalis, Westminster, said the operation could take days or weeks. On March 29, taking advantage of the new moon that caused a spring tide, the ship was partially dislodged. Although the tasks were not completed immediately and the channel remained obstructed for a long time without allowing the passage of the other ships. The bow of the ship, which remained stranded in the sand, would have to be unlocked through much larger clay mining, and if the operation was not successful, the logistics team would consider continuing the unloading of containers to release it. At the time of the reopening of the canal, more than 400 ships were waiting, approximately 200 in the Red Sea, almost the same number in the Mediterranean Sea, and about 40 in the Bitter Lakes. However, the full release occurred that the same day at 13:05 Coordinate Universal Time, and the ship was transported to the Great Bitter Lake for inspection.
The Channel Authority reported that it will be available for use from 17 UTC after a review of the bottom and floor of the channel to ensure that there were no additional problems. The dislodging was carried out by transposing the sand on which the boat was standing, in addition of the action of 13 tugs, small boats, but with great traction force, that made use of the tides in their favor to achieve unleash the evergreen. According to the Egyptian authorities, the normal flow will be restored over 3 days, but experts say that the accumulation of cargoes in the crossing will mean a delay of several weeks until the restoration of normal maritime traffic in the area. About 12% of total world trade moves through the Suez Canal. Experts have warned that this incident will likely result in delays in shipping everyday items for customers around the world. Lois Lees estimates that each day it takes to clear the clog will disrupt an additional $9 billion worth of merchandise. Michael Lynch, president of Strategic Energy and Economy Research, attributed a rise in oil prices to people buying after recent drops in oil prices, with Suez closing the trigger. And James Williams, an economist at WTRG, Economist Energy for existing stocks, a few days of slowdown in oil delivery is not critical to the market, he said. The event will only delay goods, which could affect a lot of industries with existing shortage, such as semiconductors. To mitigate short-term goods, future shipments can be ordered earlier than normal until the difference has been made up. However, a consultant for another company pointed out that even a short-term disruption to the Suez Canal will have a ripple effect for several months along the supply chain. The alternative route for maritime traffic between Asia and Europe is around the African continent, a journey of around 9,000 kilometers and taking around 10 days. The president of the Suez Canal Authority has suggested that the reason the huge vessel got stuck in the Suez Canal was a mistake made by the captain. Maybe the captain made a mistake on a specific request, like the rudder of the speed, which could have led of that, Osama already said in a recent interview. Despite the fact that a Suez Canal Authority guide was aboard the Ever Given, Ravi said, the authority is not responsible for the incident. The guide has an advisory role, but the captain is responsible for the ship's operation, he said. Even when the guide issues orders, The captain has the right to change them or use any other route or speed other than that indicated by the gate, Ravi said. There was no mistake or responsibility on the part of the Suez Canal. Ravi ruled all the strong winds as the main reason for the incident. An investigation has been launched into why Ever Given got stuck in the channel. The ship was heading to Rotterdam in the Netherlands for China.
We chose this event for the project because we think that outside of the pandemic and everything related to it, it is one of the most important recent events worldwide. We also wanted to present it because, although it might not seem like it, it is an important event for Mexico and the American continent in general, at an economic level. Because with the delay of the ever-given products and the products of all the ships that had to be diverted, the demand for them will increase and with them their prices. An example of this is the electronic components, because with the delay many computer factories and other electronic devices were stopped. Although this does not seem important, today due to the war situation we are all depending on these devices, either for work or school. Another factor was the motivation to take advantage of the biases that might arise for the news, because since it is expensive, many things could be taken out of it. We could try to present the facts as the information was, or show things such as the controversies of who will be the responsible for paying the damage, who was at fault, etc. It's quite obvious that we are not going to contribute anything to make the news known, but we think it's important to make it known due to all the consequences that it brings.